kind of makes me start to lean that way a little bit towards the anti-human direction where we can't even have a civil conversation, everyone.
So, can I explain my plan? Which is,
This seems
go
pretty
to Mars,
for the
plot
VR.
love, forget this ever happened.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, welcome everybody. It's been a minute. It's been a week. I missed three events. It's been a wild ride. I just went to my hometown for a bit. Not good Wi-Fi there. So I didn't go to any events or Altspace in general. If you haven't been here before, you probably don't care. So let's get right into it. Welcome to Real Talk. The idea here is that I will pose a question, topic, philosophy, legal conundrum, widely held opinion, and we'll go around this circle in quotations, getting everyone's ideas, experiences, philosophy, personalizations of their own, manifestations of the mind, whatever. Like, truly, it's up to everyone's interpretation how they answered the question, right? And while we're going on a circle, we abide by these rules. Rule number 1, the 2-minute rule. Once you get your first point, try to keep it under 2 minutes, just so everyone can get around, then we'll open up afterwards. Rule number 2, I haven't done this in a week, so respect the circle, meaning don't talk out of turn, don't try to argue with someone or interrupt them while we're going around the circle. Rule number 3, ask them the God door, meaning if you want to talk about something religious, you're welcome to, but you got to ask your group first, and culture about religion is okay, but actual belief is not okay. Like, you can say, Islamic people don't eat, pork, but you can't say, they don't eat pork because this, and that. Rule number 4, respect when the topic is over, meaning if we're trying to move on with us. And rule number 5, shut up when needed, because needed is often. So let's get into the first question since my little sabbatical, which is life unfair? The pretty common one that people tend to say. It's it's really how you know what? No, gonna leave it up to you guys. Zach, you gonna take this one?
Yeah.
We
made it unfair and a shit show because we basically designed it in ways that don't suit the way our brains work. I think it's 150 people we can really be close to at one time, and then we basically fucked shit up. It could be, it's not.
Right, old stock.
Yeah, pretty much the same answer. It's very fair to a few, but in the general sense, if you view the world as a kind of, every species in the world as a kind of predator-prey relationship, well, no, it's not very fair, not. So, yeah.
Sheldon.
Pass on, Sheldon.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to probably give a cop-out answer by saying the question is ill-formed. The short answer is no. The short answer is no. Sorry. Sorry. For convoluted reasons.
Well, I'm sure I'd love to hear once we open up what those reasons are.
He's only being mean because he missed you, Ravens. He's only being mean because he missed you.
I don't believe that life is unfair.
That's it? Okay. We're blowing through this one. Michael Jordan.
Cool. I want to say that life is fair, so it's not unfair. But, you have to acknowledge that some people have life easier than other people. It's pretty obvious. We all start at different places, but, I don't know. I want to say it's not unfair, but, the argument can be made either way. So a yes and no, which is really not an answer, but that's all I got. Pass.
All right, F.
Hi there. Yeah, so when I sort of bringing up my children, I was at great pains to stress the difference between unfair and unfortunate. And I think it's something we missed. Unfair is sort of, for me, a deliberate discrimination. Unfortunate is random. And if you make that discrimination, then I think life is sometimes unfortunate. There may be institutions and constructs that are unfair, but I don't think life per se is unfair, no.
Okay, Mello.
You know I gotta do it now. Okay.
Amplifiers.
All right, so I'm gonna define some things. What is fairness? Okay, I'm sorry. You literally, I would like to state for the camera that you literally said if you try and define things that that's not a good way to go. So now I'm just doing it to spite you. But I was gonna say, it depends if you. So unfair compared to what, right? So I'm not gonna actually try and define fairness, but what I am gonna do here is say. Compared to what? Like if you compare it to your current culture, right? Or if you compare it to how we used to live, whatever time period you want to pick out of that. So I do think there are a lot of people, that like to say, oh, well, it should be this way or that way. And sometimes this way or that way is some utopian vision that would never actually work. But then also sometimes this way or that way is some way that they actually think that life is, not like it should be, but like it literally is that way, that it just, that's not how life works. And by life here, I'm not, defining some super broad, like, how creatures should live, Darwinism or whatever. I'm just saying, the common notion of human life, and society. But yeah, I think it depends on what your view is on how life is, and that depends on what you've experienced, right? So go back to my thing I say all the time about, it depends on a combination of genetics and experience. I would say this one leans heavily on your previous experiences. All right. I don't feel like giving a ranty answer, so that'll be my answer for this one.
Cameron.
Okay. Personally, I would say yes, life is unfair for a plethora of reasons, like BLM or what's going on in Yemen or et cetera, et cetera. Like, nobody should have to go through all of these things, whether or not you want to say life is or isn't unfair. I mean, I don't know if that made a lot of sense, but yeah, that's my answer.
All right. Joe, are you standing?
Yeah.
You're an active guy.
I was gonna play a game, but I didn't.
Oh.
So.
Well, is life unfair?
What's the question?
Is life unfair?
It's like, I think it can be, yes. It can be unfair. Because life growing up just from birth is different in different parts of the world. Growing up is just totally different. Growing up in America, we all have a different low standard here compared to other countries where a normal standard is even lower than what we are used to. So our poor sense in America, even starting off is not as bad. I mean, you get housing in New York City. I mean, you can, there's so many things you can do here, as opposed to other countries. They get no stimulus and stuff like that. So it's like, it really depends where where you're coming from in the world, because it's different. Like, for example, some people who work at McDonald's here get paid more than doctors in other countries. You know, it's messed up. So it's like, it's very, very, it's unfair. It's your wealth is kind of according to your region, in a sense. You know. Yeah, that's it.
All right. So, now is the time where we open up. So if you have something you want to say, or you just want to belittle me for my question, now is the time.
What was he saying?
Who messaged me? I was in the middle of kicking him and the message popped up.
I mean,
That's so.
Good damn it. I didn't see the message.
anyway, I can't believe after like a week of whatever. Well, sorry. What
They
were you
weren't
saying?
here
Wait,
last
wait,
week.
time
When
out,
you
time
weren't
out.
here,
He said
Ravens. When you weren't here, they weren't here. They're You're the virus.
Yeah.
You're the virus, man.
Wait, they've
They've got like Google alerts when my
Man,
account pops up.
Is this show
Yeah.
like mutinying right now?
They've been doing
Is this
that a
what's
lot.
going on?
They've been hacking a lot. What are they doing? They just like, that's like a hack or some shit?
Yeah, for people who
They're just
don't
trolling,
know,
they're
people
just
are making Smurf accounts, and they've been coming in here saying like bigoted stuff and racist stuff and running around, and we've been blocking them the best we can, but they just make no accounts, and that's been going on for like 2 weeks now, 3 weeks.
That's so fucked up, man.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Anyway,
A small part of me
anyway.
admires the serious effort they're putting in, though. I know that's
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, even like I would, if I was doing something like that, I would give up after like the first time I got banned. I'd
There's
be
a
like,
lot of
okay,
effort
I'm done.
going in.
Add my fun.
I don't have
There's-
admiration. I feel like more sad for that's the thing they decided to do with their free time.
Ravens. I have a suggestion which came from another event. What you can do, if you want, is to make this event 10 minutes long, but you write to everybody it's really 2 hours long, right?
Mm.
And the idea is you're going to have to get in the first 10 minutes. Of course, I know I'm one of the late attenders sometimes, but if you get in the first 10 minutes, then you're in. And then after that, the trolls can't get in. So you've got 10 minutes kicking them out.
Yeah.
So that was a suggestion I picked up in another event. They were talking about trolls and so on. Or it could be
When we hit the
10
midway
minutes.
point, it fluctuates a bit. Because when we hit midway, we normally get people leaving and coming in because it fluctuates around 20 there.
Yeah, I know. But you
So
can pick
otherwise,
the
we're just gonna be
time,
heavy
but,
dwindling.
An admin.
I mean, I was actually speaking to the dev. I thought that the
Yeah.
best thing would be if you were a friend of one of the moderators, you could get in at any time. Otherwise, you'd come in a certain pre-described time. That would
Yeah.
work, but they've not yet
An
done
admin
that. The
told me-
moderators,
Yeah, an admin told me either make it private or make it paid. So yeah.
yeah, they'd like it paid, wouldn't they?
Mm.
Yeah.
I would not pay for this. I would not pay to listen to people. Sorry.
I don't think anyone needs to come if this was paid.
Like $1 per event, that'd be ridiculous. Anyway, F.
So yeah, I had a suggestion. So I think Mellow Wave should always ask to open the definition door because he does a lot of defining. I'm just feeling very naughty today. I think he should have a definition door. It's his god. Defining is his god.
In
So-
Meloid's button, in Meloid's brain, there's just a button, and it goes relativism.
Defined!
Well,
Subjectivism,
hey,
subjectivism. That's all it is.
listen. I'm all for democracy or whatever. Like, if we want to vote on that.
Be careful what you wish for.
Oh man.
No, but I do have a serious point as well, and I think Joe picked up on it. You know, when we say we're unfortunate, right, try being an insect. Try being a moth. You know, we've all been pretty lucky to be born as humans. That's my suspicion anyway. You know, of course, I feel immensely lucky. I was born with a lot of privilege, right? But I'd like to think that there's kind of a whole massive range. I can see my pointer, you can't. It's not a laser pointer. There's a whole massive range, and we're all pretty high up there, really. You know? It's easy to say, oh, you know, however, you know. So, for example, I've just been doing a piece of research, and I wish I had a facility that cost 10 times as much because I could do it better. So I'm really unfortunate because there's only one of those in the world. You know? Well, of course I'm not. I'm really fortunate because I've got one of the next group down. Yeah? It's easy for us to say, you know, poor me, poor me, poor me. But actually, we should all say, lucky me, lucky me, lucky me.
Well,
you know?
regards
I
to
think
the
that's
other
kind of what
species
Joe
thing.
said, and I want to expand on it.
Correct.
Regards to the
I
other
mean,
species things, there's the ignorance is bliss argument that would say we're actually unlucky to be an intelligent species.
Yeah, but I think the argument's probably wrong.
I mean, that's like, I mean, I don't know.
I
That's
don't
very,
know.
that's very personalized, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's a good point because perspective.
You just talk, dude. Just talk.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
This is Desert
Like
Spider
how
right
you
here in
deem
front.
whether or not you
So,
are lucky or
this is-
someone else is unlucky.
thank you.
You know, if you're
Talk
starting
over
that
people.
debate.
Talk.
What?
Okay, this is the question for the moderators here for this event. So, number one, I apologize because I explore a lot of worlds, and one day I happened upon the world that Zach was creating, and I favorited it. It's called Real Talk One Shots, and it's an awesome space. And my question is it possible to do these events at your space that you made, Zach? Because it's awesome.
I told him not to outdo me.
And you did it.
I've been thinking maybe we could renovate this space sometime soon, but that space that Zach has made is for his event, which is Real Talk One Shots
can
every
use it
Monday
if you want.
at 7 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah, man, your house is shit. Sorry.
It's not being run at the moment, by the way.
You know what would be cool, Raven? Would be some of the spaces have like a projector board. You could put the question up because, you know, I had to go and do a bit of bodily function that you can't do in VR. But fortunately, Mellow Waves put me right on the question. You got a little projector screen now. I could have just gone, oh yeah, I know what the question is.
Yeah.
You know?
Zach does that. That's you guys are just saying his event's better than mine.
No, we're not. No, we're not, Zach.
Hold on.
We've missed
It's a lot
you all.
more
We've all missed
difficult.
it.
It's a lot more difficult with Real Talk for questions because he
I've
can
been here since
decide
day
them
one.
depending how the conversation's going. You
Yeah,
don't have
But
to
he's got his
decide for this event.
but he's got his pre-described questions, right? Those
You
could
don't
be
pick
like
them
on a...
before the event.
I didn't realise
It goes
that.
along with the
Okay.
conversation.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
like if
Okay,
I
I
have
didn't realize
relevant
that.
questions that people are enjoying, I go with them.
Okay, I've got it.
And
Otherwise,
some of
it's like
us who used to
50,000
contribute
images
more
to create
questions
and
than
scroll through.
usual have been lazy lately. So yeah, the questions come straight out of the Discord.
Yeah, I've got it.
Right. So,
Seating. Just
great questions, but we can go more in depth after the event. There's a lot of people joining, so let me just explain a little bit. For the people who've never been here before, welcome.
Okay, walk
Here
in,
in
walk in.
Here in Real Talk, I will ask a question, topic, philosophy, political legal, logical conundrum, political idea, etc., and we'll go around this circle, answering everyone's questions. And once we do that, we'll open up, abiding by these rules. Rule number one, the 2-minute rule. Try to keep your first point under 2 minutes, just for convenience. Rule number two, respect the circle, meaning but if we're going on a circle, don't try to interrupt or argue with someone while we're going through. Rule number three, ask them to guide or me. If you want to talk about religion, you're welcome to, but just ask the group and get a little consensus, see if everyone's okay with it. If it's good, good. Rule number four, respect when the topic is over, meaning if we're trying to move on with this. And rule number five, shut up when needed. Needed is often. So yeah, if y'all want to come group around the circle or go sit in the back, that's easier for me to identify because I got to pick on people as we go around and I want to know who's participating, who is not, and all that. So, the next question is, Okay, so this question needs a little explaining. It is a kind of personal question that I really want to ask.
I have a non-knock joke.
That's not really time, man. So the question is what do you deserve? And I want you to think, personally, existentially, what do you deserve now in your current state? What did you deserve the moment you were born? What do you deserve? Zach.
What? Oh, sorry, I'm doing a lot of modding right now. What was the question?
What do you deserve?
Deserve? You don't deserve anything until you've worked to deserve it. I mean,
so you
the
haven't worked?
generic things, human rights, we should be kind to each other. We don't necessarily deserve it, though. Do we deserve the chance? Maybe, but it's a bit old. I've had it very easy, so it's very easy for me to say that I deserve stuff. But no, I don't think I deserve jack shit other than what I've earned or, well, okay, worked for, or, repercussions of negative actions. But I think we deserve very little from when we're born.
Are you with us? Hello.
I don't think he is.
I don't know what this is.
I don't know what to say.
So many people.
There you go. You speak?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah. Hello.
So,
I'm just kind of fast.
Oh, okay. Yep, no problem. I'll stop.
Yes. Yeah, for the most part, I agree with Zach. You really deserve nothing more than a chance in a perfect society. But other than that, you deserve punishment for your misdeed. You deserve to be rewarded adequately for whatever work you do,
run you,
whatever effort you make.
right?
Other than that,
Right? Yes.
I
Okay,
don't know.
finally. All right, you want to end the call so we don't hear two of us?
Yeah.
There we go. All right, are you ready?
Did you do him
Are you
twice?
ready?
Yep.
He's muted.
No, I can't hear you.
You're muted.
Adam, shut
Oh,
up.
sorry. It's very rare for me to be muted. We deserve nothing. We're lucky to be
Hey,
born
are
as
you
humans.
muted,
That's
Adam?
enough. We deserve nothing more.
Adam,
Mm.
you're muted? Then
Zam
unmute
Popper.
yourself.
Hooper. Popper.
Unmute yourself.
Skip that.
Alright, Sheldon.
Off the cuff, this is a cop-out answer, sorry. I suppose I like the idea that what one deserves should be earned, even if it is penal consequences for some law-breaking activities. My first go-to answer was I deserve to exist or continue to exist without being molested. And molested, I mean in the Latin sense, molestare, not to be bothered. I should be able to continue being without being bothered. That would be my short answer.
Alright. Michael Jordan.
I have to agree with F. I mean, I don't think anyone really does anything. I mean, maybe it's because I'm a little biased towards that word. It feels like, yeah, I don't know. You earn things in this life, but I mean, in one way, I will add that I guess we all deserve to be, treated equally or as we would want to be treated, like the golden rule I think applies there. Not to go into the God door, but yeah, that's all I got. Pass.
Right. Nicholas 420. Oh, we're a little wary of people with 420 in their name. Not that smoking weed is wrong. It's just
I know, no, I'm just like a meme dude. I just like to have fun. I just like talking about memes and stuff. I just like to have fun, that's all.
Yeah, no problem. It's just prior experience. Iffy.
Yeah, I got you.
Do you want to speak on the question or?
No, I'm good. I don't really like to speak much.
Okay. J-Man.
And my
you
finger on the
for this?
button for no reason.
How's everyone doing?
Hey,
Good.
Oh, is that me? I think we deserve to have what we get.
you just skipped
what
there,
I mean
man.
is that, well, the first thing is that we have a brain. So I think we deserve to use the brain to gain as much knowledge. All right, I'll make that louder. Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, I said I think we deserve to use what we have, and that is we have a brain, and I think we deserve to learn as much as we can while we're on this earth to find what brings us passion as well as kindness at the same time, and then to just use it and find our happiness, whether it is to find love or to find, I don't know, your vocation, whatever brings you happiness, but we deserve to use what we are born with and what we should be using.
All right.
That's it.
Mellow. Okay. I would say similar to what Sheldon was saying is that we deserve the opportunity. Well, I'd say not to be bothered, but I think implicit in that and implied in that is basically the opportunity to, like Timon was saying, find happiness and purpose and those kinds of things. That does not by any means mean that you will do those things. It's just you have the opportunity. You can lead a horse to water, you can't make him drink. So, it's, if you don't take advantage of those opportunities, that's all on you. So I'm by no means, advocating, giving people things for no reason, other than the possibility to accomplish their goals. It's totally on them to do the work in accomplishing those goals. Yeah, and I know that could be a little bit of a fuzzy thing because sometimes if you give someone an opportunity, some people get an opportunity where others don't, and so that's not even as cut and dry as it seems. But I don't know. I don't really feel like going down that whole moral rabbit hole today. So yeah, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it for now. All right, Cameron.
I mean, we deserve nothing but basic human needs like food, water, shelter / safety, whatever, and a chance. But other than that, we get what we earn.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
All right. So before we open up, I know the whole ideas, the questions are totally up to interpretation, but I want to re-ask this question just so I can get into another question and really have a good flow. I want you to say personally how you value yourself and what you deserve, like what you've accomplished and what you deserve because of it. Personally, like what you have done and what you deserve. I mean, you don't have to say, I've done this with my life, but like how you value yourself and what you deserve.
Zach, fuck, I don't like saying this because I have it pretty. I think I probably deserve what I've got, maybe a bit less actually. From right now.
Okay.
I'm doing good with what I have.
Yeah, same as I come from a good family. I've had a good upbringing. I've gotten more than I deserve. I've gotten a better head start in life, a better chance in life than most people on this fucking earth, if I'm honest. I mean, So yeah, I've gotten way more than I deserve. But you know, like at the same time, I dedicated my life to social care work. I teach music for free. I volunteer a lot. Like, so at the same time, I'm not kicking myself for unintentionally getting a good start either. You know, I'm not flaunting it in someone's face either. So I don't devalue myself. Well, like, you know, I don't know. Tough question, man.
It is.
Yeah.
F. The question is, I want you to personally like value yourself and determine what you deserve. Like, do you deserve what you have? You know, you deserve more or less.
No, I
Personally.
do not. I do not. One of the reasons I really like you is you told, I like you for many, many reasons, but you told us, you know, of a difficult beginning in life, you know? I had exactly the opposite. I had a really good beginning in life and really managed to screw it up big time, massively, you know? And by blind chance, I kind of found my way out of it. And I don't deserve anything I have. I am immensely lucky. I mean, it's funny because people say, oh, you work really hard. I don't. I play really hard. I really enjoy what I do. That's so lucky, you know? People say, oh, you know, you do this, you do that. I don't. I just play hard, you know? And I'm just really, really lucky that... where's MJ? Where's MJ? MJ, right? See? Now, the guy he's named after is a brilliant example of this, right? Yeah? Just enjoys being this kind of alpha male, kind of macho guy who you probably would hate in many ways, but he's just brilliant at doing certain things, and because of that we love him, right? And I'm not kind of like, you know, 6'7" slam dunk, but in my sphere I'm considered to be quite good at what I do, but actually I just do it because I like it. I'm really lucky, unquestionably so. I don't deserve anything I have. None of it.
Okay.
None of it.
Doesn't mean you're gonna throw it away, right?
I'm not gonna throw it away.
I'll take it. It's wonderful.
I'll share it. I'm a big collaborator. I like collaborating.
What have you got?
Right. What have I got?
Have you got a PS4? You can share that with me. Thanks.
Nah, it's none of that material shit.
Don't you have children, man?
Opioids.
I have children, but I won't share those with you. No, I wouldn't inflict that on anyone. I have children of the month.
What about the first one? First one's always a throwaway.
Zen Pooper. Zen Popper.
The first off is a really hard question, and I definitely like commend you for like definitely like made me think. So like I live in the United States. I come from middle class, but definitely on the upper side of that. You know, I have a VR headset, so you automatically kind of can pick those things up. So I'm not in the top, 99% of my country, but just being in the middle of such a highly developed country places myself in terms of human beings on this planet in the top 99%. And in terms of the wealth of human history, probably 99.9. So for me to sit here and to say, well, I deserve more than, if I'm in a group of 100 people, I deserve to be at the top. I deserve the most out of all 100 people. And I think I can't sit here and say that. I think I work hard. I think I'm grateful, but to sit here and say I deserve
what is your number?
Like, where do you think I'd line in the deserving?
In
like out of
in
100?
the 100 people, where?
Oh my God! See, I don't know.
Fair to say that says you know, like
it is
everyone on the
impossible. I
planet.
like it.
Yeah, But yeah, so that's where I stand, and I don't know, I definitely want to hear what everyone else has to say, because I don't quite have an answer yet. But yeah,
Sheldon.
I pass.
Come on,
Jordan.
man.
To really answer that, I need to open the God door just a little bit. If everyone's cool
Go
with
for it.
that.
Yeah, go.
Yeah.
If no one's up your door today, go for it.
Just to play on something that was said earlier, I believe that we coast through life sometimes on waves of grace. And if I want to say that I deserve this or I deserve that, then I have to look back at my life. And just as an example, a real life example, I spun my car out on a wet road when I was 16 years old. Fortunately, the car ended up on, the sidewalk and didn't hit anybody, didn't end up in the trees or off a bridge. If that had happened, I would have deserved that, but it didn't. So for me to say that I deserve everything I have right now, and I'm quite fortunate, and I have a good job, I'm good at what I do, and all of this, but for me to sit here and say I deserve all of this, I choose not to say that. I say I don't deserve it. That I've gotten here, by the grace of God. That's my answer to that, and I'll pass.
Remember, like, if you have some debilitating injury, you can say, I don't deserve this. It's not just everything good that you deserve. It's everything that you have. Like, do you deserve that? Do you deserve more or less? All that. Sheila.
Yeah. I look at it as an equation.
You with us?
Oh, I'm sorry. You're calling on me?
Yep.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I don't know if I can answer that question. I just kind of parachuted into this just now, like a couple minutes ago. I'm not quite sure what the topic is, so
no problem.
I guess I'll just pass on this.
Rhonda.
Could you ask the question one more time, please?
Of course. I
Go
want
ahead.
you to do a little personal self-evaluation and tell me, do you deserve what you have? Do you deserve more? Do you deserve less? What do you deserve personally? We talked about what we deserve as, basic human beings. I want to know what you personally do.
I deserve nothing more than what I have achieved. I don't think I could really come up with anything other more than that. I've been, I can say lucky, but no, it's been hard work. I've worked for everything I have. I have achieved a considerable amount, and I'm very pleased with my life. Other than that, that's about it.
Okay. JVB.
I deserve everything that I have. Let's see. I guess instead of just going into, an opinion of whether I've been a good girl or a bad girl, or whether I have enough or don't have enough, I want to take it to the feeling when I feel that reality or God or whatever you call it is being unfair, either to me or different people, or again, just the food chain. Do living creatures deserve to suffer? I don't know if they deserve to suffer or not. That's just the way it is. Are some creatures more gifted, like saying having the ability to enjoy something? Like a raccoon might really enjoy eating some delicious garbage, whereas I don't know if an amoeba enjoys anything. I don't know if that's it's a good question, but because I can come at it from a lot of different angles. But the deserving thing, I know lately I've gotten very frustrated with what I think is unjust. Not so much in my personal life today. I've certainly felt things been unjust. I've certainly been given things way above many humans in time and space before me. But it's coming to some terms of acceptance that whether creatures deserve something or not, that is the way it is. And I know last week, it's usual, we end up with free will and determinism. But whether somebody, here we go again. The deserving or not, sometimes it's hard for me to accept the way things are. I'll just leave it at that. Thanks.
I think what JBB
Ooh,
was saying hit the nail on the head because I was thinking of animals and I was thinking of us as species. Okay,
Yeah, J-Man, you're skipping them.
okay.
Well, if I said wow, it would be an understatement. And no, I don't deserve what I've experienced. Just a couple of seconds of brief background. I work with someone called Raymond. We call him Rain Man, because he really opened up our eyes to the microscopic world. And being that, you know, we're dealing with viruses and everything like that, we're realizing how much power exists in the microscopic world. Every time man realizes what exists in the microscopic world, you know, we blow stuff up and, you know, the atom and stuff like that. But, you know, so what I've gotten is the knowledge of the existential reality of the universe and understanding that we're all connected, and how we're connected is on the subatomic substrate. That's how the universe is connected. And finally understanding that, I took quantum physics and I didn't get it. And it took me a while to really understand what that means. So I'm blessed to have the knowledge of the existential understanding of how the universe is connected. And, you know, theoretically, I believe it. It makes a lot of sense. And he's writing his dissertation, so it'll be peer reviewed and everybody will have their opinions and like that. But to me, I measure success in terms of the wealth of the experience you have when you're here on Earth, and the relationship that you have with your fellow human beings, because we're all one race, the human race, and we're all connected, and we do so much to separate ourselves apart. The fellowship that I enjoy from my fellow human beings is immeasurable, and that has made me the richest person that I can be.
Right. Come on.
Okay. First of all, sorry, Jay, man. I thought you were one of the admins because you're the only robot that's right next to me, and you didn't speak. So apologies for before that.
Oh, you got megaphone place. There you go.
Okay. So I want to just follow up on what J-Man and JVB were saying about we can call it the cosmic lottery on how we are brought up on the earth, with our circumstances, with our upbringing and parents and all that. And I think what we deserve, and based on the cosmic lottery, is what we'll get. But also, I think what we get, we should also understand. For example, I'm probably the only one in the room with a case of coronavirus. I don't deserve it, but I understand why I have it, if that makes sense. And so what we have, sometimes you don't need, I don't really know what that means, what do we deserve, but let's understand the circumstances and say, why do we have it? Let's harness it and let's use it for the good, based on the lottery of what we have received.
Right, Mello.
That's it.
Okay. You deserve exactly what you have earned. I'm gonna keep it short because I believe the same way as other people have said here. But also, I think you have to think not just positively, like ice cream and rainbows or whatever, but also the negative things that happen to you. You deserve those as well. So, if you are the cause of them, so for example, Timon over here, he did nothing to get the virus, but he's, I assume dealing with it as he is. Whereas, some other things that if they are directly the person's fault, they do kind of deserve it a little bit. Now, is there room for interpretation in that? Sure. But I'm trying to curb my tendency to, go down an 8-hour rabbit hole just because something is slightly ambiguous. So, I'll just say for now, in general, leaving the room for interpretation a little bit at least, you deserve what you've
Nah, man. What do you deserve?
Oh, right. I forgot you went personal with it, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll do the same thing. I'll just apply it to myself. I deserve exactly combination of, what I've done, both positive and negative. And yeah.
Okay. Cameron.
Sorry. I kind of have a negative outlook per se on this. I mean, I don't think I deserve the good things that I have, but I also don't think that I deserve the negative things that have happened to me. Like, take take some of the things that I have, like material wise for good and mentally for bad. Like, I don't think that I deserve to have my Xbox or my Oculus or whatever else I have, but I also don't think that I deserve to have all of my mental illnesses. I don't know. I don't really have much of an answer for that one.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry, I'm done.
Why do you feel like you don't deserve the good stuff, man?
Well, I guess that mostly just ties into the entire mental illness part. Like, I've gone through a lot it's kind of been jolted to my head that I don't deserve a lot of good things. And, like, don't get me wrong, I'm trying to fix that, but that's kind of my mindset now, is that I don't deserve what I have. Yeah.
Well, for what it's worth, from what I've met of you, you seem like a really nice guy, man. And I'm glad you have that headset. I think you deserve it. You get to share these stories with. How about that?
Thank you.
You're right.
Yeah, I mean, a little, I never answer my own questions, so let me just speak on it. Like what you said about the headset and stuff, like, I personally, like, I, not only do I, like, think, maybe I don't deserve everything I have, maybe I'm not the best person, but also, like, I feel like unless, like, I'm doing something, altruistic or whatever with what I'm doing is, it's pointless to have, if I'm not doing something productive with it, or, like, so I was talking about what I do here in VR and with this event and stuff, and, they said, well, how come you don't monetize, the recordings, how come you don't monetize this? And they said, you should, right? But personally, I feel like at that point, I wouldn't be doing something good. I wouldn't be doing something beneficial at that point, Like, this is, for fun, for entertainment, right? And, I'm not the provider of that. I'm just making space to, have conversation. Therefore, I should not benefit off that. Like, I don't know, it's just kind of how I think.
And well, Mellow Waves would never pay him.
Yeah. I would never pay any of my moderators. I'm sorry. I made money.
Sorry, Mellow. I'm only joking, man.
You good, man. All good.
What do you mean by that?
For example,
Sorry, I'm just if I edit. So it's still.
So sorry, I don't know the change from dollars to pounds, so I wouldn't know how to pay you anyways.
It's 3-to-1.
Is that?
Yes.
the pound isn't that strong, is it, at the moment?
I know it because I once bought a Rubik's Cube in America.
But see, I think Altstop's a really interesting example, right? From what I understand of him, he has a job that he's really engaged in, which is about caring for people, right?
Yeah.
And he's really engaged in it, I couldn't do his job. I know I couldn't, right? I'm just not good at that kind of stuff. I have a job that I'm really engaged in, which is about trying to find new cures for illnesses, among other things, yeah? I think Ravens, you've got a job here that you've created, which is brilliant. I think the thing is about being authentic to yourself. If you're authentic to yourself, it will come through, it will come to a good place, right? And it doesn't matter whether being authentic to yourself is making a nice garden for the old lady down the road, you know, helping someone who's in the last days of their life, trying to find a new cure for whatever, trying to create a new social space. If you're authentic to yourself, it comes through. That's where I get on this, you know? So I don't think anyone's doing better or worse than the others. If you're authentic, you're doing well.
But like, to bring it back to what I was saying, you know, like, it's you know, I don't think I'd feel guilty about, you know, picking up this headset when I do if I wasn't doing something like this where I was, you know, making other people, you know, laugh or, you know, enjoy conversation and stuff. And it's the same way, you know, Altstock, do you have a car or something? How do you get to work? Car. And I think personally, you deserve the car because what you're doing with it is you're working and helping people and surviving with that, right? Altstock, probably the same thing. Everyone in here who works and is benefiting society, probably the same thing, right? So personally, like it's
Depends on the job. No, mafia boss may not deserve a car.
No, he deserves a stretch limo.
Right.
No, mafia works. What does that mean?
But like, if we're going by like what you do and what you get, it's I think you really have to involve in the equation what you do with what you get. You know, not just they're not, you know, this equals that. It's what you do with this equals that. You know, like if you know, sure, Altstock, you know, you're doing, you know, good stuff in your job, but do you deserve, you know, to bathe in diamonds? No.
I'd like to think so, yes. I think it'd be quite sore, but it'd be a fantastic photo opportunity, so yes.
But if you deserve a car to go do your job, but if you you work with in a old home,
Intellectual disabilities.
Yeah, people. Yeah, if you went there and started, you know, beating people up, do you deserve to come back there?
Oh, yeah. No,
yeah. So it's what you do with what you get is, I think, how you can base what you know, what will you get and what will you deserve in the end.
Yeah, but part of that, Ravens, is about this thing about authenticity, right? I mean, without bragging, okay, the lab I'm in charge of, right, is worth many millions of pounds, right? That is more to me than being a millionaire because it's my toy box, right? You know? So, it's not just for me, it's for many people, right? But it's like being a millionaire because basically, if I won a massive like lottery or whatever, I don't know what you have in America, we have the lotto, right? Altstock another lotto, right? Yeah. Then what I would do is buy a lab, right? Because it's what I love doing, you know. So
start investing in space.
I didn't have to pay money for it, but I kind of have it, but it's not mine. I share it with other people, you know. And that's I think the thing about this authenticity, you know, like diamonds actually aren't worth that much, really, except we all agree they're worth something, you know. So
diamonds are only worth money because they hold them back from the market.
In part, but diamonds are metaphorical here. I don't think they're literal anyway, you know? But I think the things that are worth the most to you are the things you value the most. That's almost a tautology, but it's not. Because, like, I'll be honest with you, right? If you saw my car, you would laugh, right? It is the most beaten up joke of a car you will ever see, right? It's worth less than my headset, okay? Now,
make and model, please. Make and model.
So,
and license plate number, address, social security.
No, I won't give the license plate number. Sorry, but no, it's a oh, I've forgotten. It's a Ford thingy. What are they called? Big Fords, long Fords, 7
Fiesta.
Explorer.
No, not Pinto. No. Anyway, it's a 7 Ford. It's about 15 years old. There's more scratches and rust on it than are on me, actually. You know?
It's definitely a Ford then.
Exactly. But, you know, it gets me. I don't care. I don't care. You know, my headset is worth more than it. You know, I bought it 3 years ago on eBay for 500 quid, right? And it's just gradually running down, and it will die, and then I'll buy another one. You know, because that's not where I have my value, my status, or whatever. You know. And so I think this whole thing about, like, what do I deserve? I think what I deserve is partly around what I value. You know? I think, but I don't know, that Oldstock is a really together guy whose life is really kind of... I'm making a lot of assumptions here, Oldstock, and maybe I'm wrong, but
has a nice,
I think your life's really together, and it's rewarding for you, and it doesn't involve bathing in diamonds. It involves the day-to-day stuff you do. Am I right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but bear in mind that I am a lazy bastard, so some of that day-to-day stuff is doing absolutely nothing, and I love that job.
Yeah, I'm a lazy bastard as well. I'm a lazy bastard. I really am.
I'm very good to myself. I don't treat myself poorly, you know. So don't.
I get it.
I'm not.
No, I
I'm
know,
not
I
a
know.
fucking saint, you know. I do make sure I'm happy too.
Of course,
Yeah, I
of
don't
course.
devote all my time to everyone else. So, but no, I get to do it. I get to do a lot of music. I have a job I like. I'm pretty well set up. I got my house. I just finished college, and yeah, things are looking all right now. Yeah,
You're a dub. I'm trying to work out. You're a dub. You're from Dublin, aren't
No, other side.
You guys already had this conversation.
you?
Yes,
we
we
did.
did.
I've got a shit memory. I've got a shit memory. That's the trouble, you know?
Anyway, it's just about that time where I have to forcibly turn your heads to the side of the room, the back of the room, where you can find our YouTube channel, which is the recording of this event and past events will be on.
Which
our
hasn't been
Spotify.
uploaded to in weeks, by the way.
I'm working on the next one. Sorry.
Now!
You can find our Spotify, which the audio recording plus our other events recordings will be on. We're also on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, a million of them. I can't remember them all. You'll find our Discord, where if you go to that Discord, you'll be added to our server, and once you're added to our server, you can ask us questions about the event. You can pose questions that we will ask in the event. You can make fun of Zach. Whatever you know, and then you can find our Twitter, which you'll find announcements. You can DM us, you can follow us, etc., etc. That wraps it up. Next question, real quick.
How come you can remember tons about philosophy and you can't remember your own 5 rules?
It is.
That is a good question, actually.
Okay, so this question, I never really dabbled with. I never really heard anything about it, but it came to me when I was writing the question list, and I want to hear everyone's opinions because I never really put any thought to this myself or heard, or read anything about it. It's the idea that, the world belongs to humans more than it does animals. The actual question is, can humans own, is it right for humans to own land or for, them to kick animals out of habitats and stuff? The question is it right for humans to own land? That.
Okay, one second. Let's go through some basic. I might think out loud just because I'm first. So, you've got basic idea of our nature, which is we do need land to survive. There's an extent, so we probably deserve to have a stable population for that extent. Maybe move out, maybe for farming, but to the extent we have now, where we're overpopulated, we're pretty much destroying land for no good reason. We're building server farms in places that aren't probably best when we've got open land that nothing lives in that we can put them so. To an extent, we probably do deserve, because we are an animal ourselves and need stuff to survive, but I think we've gone way past that.
Kinda.
Also, I apologize. This is my first time here, so I'm still kind of getting the hang of it.
Apologize. Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yay! What's up for that guy?
But I think this is something that I've thought of a lot. Especially, I've heard a lot of arguments about it, and I think one really good example that I always go back to is environmentalist themes in Studio Ghibli movies, because I know that they touch on that a lot. The whole idea of how humans and animals live together. I mean, if you are destroying land, then in essence you're killing yourselves, because once that's gone, you're not going to get that back. So when you are able to like respect your surroundings and respect animals and plants and everything else that lives there, then you're benefiting yourself along with just, not being a dick, I guess. So I believe that we necessarily own or expect anything as humans. I mean, like I said, like you said before, we need something to survive, but I don't think we necessarily have a divine like authority over something any more than any other creature does. So
Damn, I like
that's my take on it.
Hassan?
It's waiting. Unmute yourself. Mute. Oh, I think that bad.
I have to say, Altstock.
Oh, they got a bubble in.
Wait, can you repeat that question just so I'm clear on it one more time?
Do humans have a right to own land?
Right to own land. The notion of
more than any animal or whatever, kicking species out of habitats and all that.
I mean, the notion of taking territory is specific to us. I mean, there's loads of animals that are territorial, which will kill or drive out other specific animals, I suppose, within its territory. So it's, I mean, like, yeah, we're not animals in the sense that we're wild, but a lot of people will say we're still animals in the sense that we're part of nature and we have some old tendencies and behaviors still floating around within us. So, yeah, it's not surprising that it happens. Do we deserve it? Or we kind of need it to live. So, in that sense, we deserve a bit. Maybe not as much as we take, but a bit. Right.
Right.
Sam Cooper.
So I think there's a reason why we obviously can't go and kill another human. The way that we can go and kill a cow or a pig. Humans have special characteristics that make it not okay to kill each other, right? We have free agency, we have consciousness, the ability to question not just the things around us, but the universe around us. And that is why we can't kill each other. But we can kill animals because they don't have the special characteristics.
Ooh.
Now, I think with that, we inhabit this earth, and because we have those special characteristics, we are meant to be here. And I don't mean that in a religious way. I'm not religious at all. Because I see it like that. I think the earth is humans' earth that nature inhabits, not nature's earth that humans inhabit. Does that mean we can go and destroy it? Like, we shouldn't destroy it, obviously. But that's not because of some moral dilemma. It's because it's in our own best interest to take care of it. So, yeah, I do believe we can own land and take land from animals. We are superior to animals, and we just are. We have those special characteristics. And yeah, so that's my belief.
Yeah.
I'm just going to sort of echo the sentiments that were expressed previous. I want to say that I'm in the camp of the old-fashioned ecologist position, and I think it is possible for humans to live in harmony with animals. It is just as humans, we have capacity to exceed our need and our want to the point that we can act almost virally on the earth. And that's where the abuse can come in, the sort of bad effects. So I'll leave it at that.
Right.
So if I understood the question correctly, was do we have the right to? Okay? We don't have the right to, but we have the means to. Okay? Doesn't mean we have a right to do it, but we can do it. Right? I don't have a right to walk to the shops, but I can do it. Maybe some people say I do have a right to walk to the shop. We have the means to, right? But I'm not a very Christian person. I'm not Christian at all, actually, but I think there's an interesting thing in Christianity here about the kind of God gave us dominion over the earth and blah, 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 right? We have the means to, right? That really says we should be responsible with our means, you know? And this isn't really coming from a Christian viewpoint, but I'm using it as an analogy. We have the means to kick all the other animals out, blah, 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 but in the end, it lessens us. Because in the end, you are a human as part of a whole complex situation involving all these other animals as well. You know? It's a very complex web that we live in. You know? I mean, I know it's quite inflammatory, but I like to do this occasionally. Take your hand up if you're a vegetarian. Right? Not many hands up in the air.
Want one?
Trying.
Right? Okay. We all could be vegetarians if we wanted to be in the society we live in. Therefore, we're choosing to impose our proclivities on animals. Yeah? Simple as that. So we have the means to. It's not about rights. We have the means to. But what we should do is try and think, what is the most wholesome thing we can do with those means? That's my 2 minutes up.
All right. Randomly.
I mean, I would agree with most of what everyone has said. That, I mean, we are technically animals and we're territorial animals. So, like a lion has its little patch, so do we. But since humans are, I would say, more intelligent than most organisms, we kind of are more aware of our impact and everything else around us. And so because of that, we have a responsibility to minimize our impact. That's it.
All right. Michael Jordan. You with us?
Trying to find his name. Oh, there he is.
MJ, you there?
He's megaphone.
Muted.
No? Strange. He's zoned out. Alright, just technically, we'll move on. Rhonda.
After me?
Yep.
Okay.
Sheila just died. So
Yeah, should be back probably in a little bit. In the grand scheme of things, we've only been around for a minuscule amount of time. You can't own something you're just passing through. That's the way I feel. The best we can hope to be is good custodians for the few little bit of time that we are here. Just take care of what we do have. Enjoy the little bit of time that we probably will be here. Because we're going to go extinct. I think that's a given. Pretty much all I have to say.
All right. Great.
I think my mic is working now.
Oh, hello. Hey, you're back.
For some reason, whenever I mute sometimes and I unmute, and then my mic doesn't work. I don't know why. Sorry. I was saying all this crap, and I'm like, what's going on? Nobody's responding. But what I was saying was that I heard responsibility, and I also heard that animals are territorial, by nature, and we're part of nature also. But we are on top of the food chain. Humans have proven that we have the ability to, basically destroy everything if we wanted to. I think as humans interact with each other, yeah, we have the right to carve out our own territories or own, parts of the land or whatever. But because the earth and environment works in a symbiotic relationship, we do have a great responsibility to take care of, the environment and things that are below us, not in respect of, I'm not going to get into intelligence or anything, like just things that we could, choose to harm or take care of. We have the responsibility to maintain that, because I think it was one of the first people that answered, because it's in our own best interest to do that. And that's what I had to say. That's it.
All right. Big Ray.
So on this topic, I have a deep problem with some of the responses I've heard and have heard in other rooms, other discussions on this. And essentially it has to do with this concept of manifest destiny, which is the whole reason that there was westward expansion of the United States. That led to genocide, that led to disruption of ecosystems. And so on that, I am a believer in the philosophical branch of deep ecology, which means that every living being has inherent worth, regardless of how utilitarian it is for humans. And I also believe that we need to restructure society according to that. Humans have overpopulated, are continuing to overpopulate, are continuing to destroy. We can all exist in harmony and flow, but we have to start deeply questioning our daily habits. We've seen what has happened with COVID. As soon as everyone was quarantined inside, like the birds were louder, like animals started roaming the streets. This is a great topic. I feel very strongly about it, but composing my thoughts later. But yeah, that's all I got to say.
Before we move on, remember when someone asked us to make more seats and we added like 2 more chairs? I think it's about time.
Well, my space has like a whole extra 2 sofas. So
yeah, whatever. Yeah, sorry. Osiris Iris.
Yes, I agree with many of what people said here today. Big Ray right before me, I think he actually pointed out a very interesting idea that nature abhors a vacuum, right? So as we were pushed inside, we did see birds, chirping more, and coyotes come in, and snakes in my area, and all sorts of animals, because in the wild, it is, the survival of the fittest, essentially. We get the Darwinism, all that such. And like previously stated, we have humans, we have the means, right? Because of our essential intelligent dominance over most species, that really has been unprecedented on our planet, from what we could tell at least, to allow us to take positions where we could destroy the planet utterly at a will, just in a single country. It's disturbing in that regard. But I would say that when it comes down to the actual question is, do we have the right to own land versus animals? I would say really the whole idea of personal property isn't that of what you can carve out against what is other species, nature, but rather amongst ourselves, really, because like how you described, we have the means to take over areas and completely deforest areas and wipe out whole species, as we've seen in the past. We have a duty, and we actually do have these ethical arguments, like we've seen here today, about conservation of species and trying to maintain the environment, whereas other species don't see this. We see when other species, say rabbits on islands, and when you have a foreign species brought to another area, it just completely dominates based on their traits. They don't have, because of our intelligence, they don't have this ethical dilemma within them. They're just going to do what they're going to do. And so I think that when it comes down to, at the base question of rights to own property, it's that, yes, we are the dominant species. And because we're the dominant species, like some Spider-Man, we have the power, and with power comes responsibility. We need to conserve the environment. But in reality, is we're going to carve this out, and we need to make sure that we figure out a way to conserve the species around, not destroy the environment. But in reality, the idea of rights of property come down to, say, I own my house, and you, as another human, don't have the right to come in and take what belongs to me. When I think of property rights, I think rather of distinguishing between humans rather than humans and other species. So yeah, like to answer the question more succinctly, I guess that'd be the main point. And that's all. Thank you.
All right, JVB. Well, hold on. Before you go, I love how everyone always ends their little 2 minutes with like thank you for listening. Like they just gave a speech. I love that.
Taking up my value.
Like they're standing on a podium.
Taking up my time. Of course, they're grateful.
Yeah, they should be grateful I'm listening to them.
Yeah, man.
JVB.
The question being, do humans have a right to own property? I think the word right is where I come in on this question. That do humans have a right? A right to me is legislated. So yeah, humans have the ability to legislate territory, which is resources and power, and defend your house. But it was on a human level, yes, there's rights. Now, who has more rights over the others? Indigenous people or no one? No human. But I think also a thought earlier that we can do it without the other animals is, I think they're getting the last laugh, if you will. It just shows that the network of biology on the planet is interdependent, and so to say that humans can bestow or not bestow. Now, do I think the human impact has been incredibly destructive along those lines? Absolutely. But you could argue, do humans have the right to do that, and we just happen to do it the wrong way? I mean, that's an argument. And to zoom out and just look at the overview effect of the blue marble in space, the land rights are ridiculous to think that there's such a thing, and that any species is going to actually live forever anyway. So that's my 2 minutes. Thank you for listening to my speech. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for my TED talk. Amen.
Okay.
You can speak. You're good. Yeah.
Okay. I am embarrassed that I participate in this system, and I participate fully, driving the car and doing all that. Just briefly, a few millennia ago, our ancestors looked up and down came lightning and lit up stuff on the ground, some dinosaur goo on the ground. And they went like, "Ooh, look, the dinosaur goo burns." And so we started burning dinosaur goo. Instead of looking up and saying, wow, that lightning, that's the energy source we should have been looking up. So we set ourselves up wrongly in the first instance. We're almost like parasites to a certain extent. Like the virus is affecting us, we're affecting the earth. likewise. And so if you think about our right to have property, we're set up wrong. We're supposed to be ecologically looking at things. We're supposed to be in the flow of nature. We're supposed to be like, we're comprised of more or less 37 trillion cells, and they all work together in harmony. Our brain cells, our blood cells, and like that, they all work together in harmony to keep us moving forward. We're supposed to be like that on the earth. We're supposed to work in harmony to keep the earth buzzing and everything like that. But what we've done is, we've taken dinosaur goo out of the ground, put it up in the air, and, hey, breathe some of this. That's got to be good for you. That's probably why we're afraid of artificial intelligence. Because if it came along, you say, wait a minute, you guys blow each other up. You guys take dinosaur goo and put it up in the air. No, I'm stopping this. That's why we're afraid, because they would see the logic of it. So the way we have it set up, the animals are going to be there long after we do. After everything is said and done, there'll be cockroaches and rats, and we'll be long gone. But I feel that the way we set up, we should probably show a little bit more ownership and responsibility based on our capacity to make a positive difference in our environment, and we should lead the way. And that's my 2 cents. I don't want to get too talky, so let's listen.
Timon?
Yeah. So I think the question, do I have the right? The question, do I have the right? That kind of throws me off, because do we have the right? Yes, according to the system we do. I think the question that we should be asking is, should we have the right to own land instead of animals? And I think if we base it on, well, okay, so we're at the top of the food chain. We've established that. We have consciousness. We've established that. There's natural and artificial selection for mainly humans. And now I think it's an evolution as to where we're going, because I think change is something that is taking place at a gradual level, but we are seeing it. We're seeing eco-friendly alternatives. We are seeing more vegan and vegetarians pop up in the world, which means that we are trying to find unity between animals and humans. And I think we're going the right way, actually. That's my 1 minute.
All right. David, you know what's going on?
Yeah, I guess it's about property rights or something. Oh, yeah, can you hear me now? Yeah. So, but I kind of just see from this conversation, a lot of time it seems to be there's a very anti-human agenda. And I don't know where that comes from, because we don't look at the evolution throughout history. It's like at the beginning, like I'm from the UK, so you'd see in Scotland a woman might have 11 children and 9 of those would have died. So that was awful and horrific. So people wanted to develop, therefore their children wouldn't have to die. And very often you have to go through a stage which looks a bit ugly and dirty and other things. Like you go back to England, say 200 years ago. If you went to London now, you probably couldn't breathe. Like if you went there, it was disgusting. There was garbage all over the poo all over the floor. It was filthy and disgusting. But you go there now, and it's relatively clean. And it's getting cleaner every year. As you were saying, we're getting all the new electric vehicles. We're getting new vertical farms. We're getting new renewable energy sources. So at the beginning, we have to do whatever it takes to not be poor, make it big, ugly, and cheap so people don't starve to death. And then we work on how do we integrate society with nature, like building trees all around. Look at Apple's new headquarters. It's basically a forest with building around it. And that's the way we're going as humans. We just have to spend more time. How do we improve it in a way that's exciting and beautiful than trying to attack each other and shaming and guilting people and saying, we're all humans are a disgusting disease. We're not a disease. We're a wonderful, amazing species that deserves to live. And we're going to the stars. We're going to explore new planets. And we're going to bring the best technology to beautify places. So that's kind of all I want to say on that. So I just think pro-human is better than anti-human.
I like how opposed everyone is on this question.
To be fair, you're kind of biased. Being, human.
So here's megaphone. There we go. Okay. So here's the thing. All right, get ready for old school mellow. I'm done being short again. So there are a couple layers to this layer cake. You've got one of the things is we are part of nature. Nature is part of us. Period. Full stop. The whole tendency to try and separate ourselves from the natural world. I understand where it came from. It was somewhat misguided. The other thing here is so you have the idea of property rights. Whenever you have a right of anything, it comes from somewhere. So I'm not religious, but old back in the day, when everyone pretty much was religious, it was a God-given right, deity-given right, whatever, etc. And then now we have laws. Okay, kicking time. Here you go. Ah, shit, I can't catch him. You got to do it.
How did he get back in?
I don't know.
Got him.
Okay.
Nice.
The shit out of me.
Good hunting. He's intruding on our territory.
Yeah. So wait. Does he have? Does he have a right? Like, what about? You know what I mean? So here, and let's do some.
In a
applied
virtual space,
philosophy
does
here.
he have right to this floor and all that?
But anyway.
If he does that, he's got the right to kill him.
So, where was I? Oh, I see. So the thing is, there are a couple layers here. We got the cultural level, right? So we have property rights right now, mostly because if everyone, so I think no one's really pointing out the elephant in the room here, which is, the whole capitalism versus communism versus, I personally think that whole debate is a little bit misguided because there are probably many other systems that we could do that we're not even considering. But point is the whole idea of property ownership, that's very much wrapped up in that kind of stuff. And yes, I do realize I have also in the past said the politics is bad, and yet here I am talking about the same stuff. I realize my own hypocrisy here, okay? But the point being, that's wrapped up in that. So that's a cultural level. I'm not even going to try and posit a solution to that because I tend to think we're not very good as people at organizing together and figuring out solutions. So, whatever, something will happen. But from the natural ecological level, we do have, we are part of nature. So the question is do we have the right to steward nature in some sort of way because of, like a couple people have said in here, our rationality. That comes straight out of Aristotle. We are rational animals, right? Was that? No, that was, anyway, we are rational animals. So animals plus logic. So the thing is does that give us the right to do that stewardship? I'm actually not going to say yes or no on that because I don't personally think, I think we don't understand enough about consciousness and our differences from animals in order to be able to make that determination. I think we need to know what sentience is, and we need to know what consciousness is. Define the problem. Aha, I'm gonna make you mad for a second there. But the but the point. So if you can solve the cultural, and then if you can figure out a way, also the anti-human sentiment, like David was saying, a lot of there's this concept of eco-fascism, which I've heard people say is basically being human is bad, therefore the only way to save the planet is we all die. That's a bit much, if you ask me. But what about, if instead of being negative to the planet, we figure out how to be positive while also retaining a lot of the comforts we're used to. I think that is possible. I think we just haven't quite figured it out yet. So this whole zero-sum game that, you have to get rid of something to gain something else, I think that's just a lack of creativity, really. And part of that, there's this thing, permaculture, I've been looking into, but I won't go into that. But so yeah, we solve the cultural, or we at least attempt to solve the cultural, and the ecological will come along with it, or the other way around. I think they're connected, and so therefore that one will help the other. I don't know which direction would be better, but anyway, okay, 2 minutes, I'm good. All right. Sorry, it's hard to say stuff in a short amount of time. Okay, Larry, go, buddy.
All right, sound check. Can you hear me?
Not you, Larry. This Larry. We got two Larrys.
That was my is it this Larry? Waiting
This Larry.
That's right. This is it.
There you
go. Okay. All right. Good. It's the first time I've had the opportunity to speak. I've enjoyed this conversation. I'm going to key off of what Mello said just a little bit about this is not a zero-sum game here. It's life on this planet. And that we not only, I think, have the right to have property, that we have all the right to have. We have the right to have all of the property we can organize in this world, and that as long as we are participating in an organizational level, maintaining the planet as it should be, as we expand and carry on further, we should have as much property as we can handle. And we as humans have not just the right, but the moral imperative to organize and to arrange and to care for everything around us and make things better when we exit than it was when we were before we were here. The nature itself has no problem with exiting a species. I don't know if we should really have a problem with that, but we should try to stay on as long as we can in order to make things better. And I know that's probably less than a minute, but thank you for your time.
All right, now the time where we open up. So if anyone wants to argue, agree, disagree, make fun of this man, now's your time. The rule here is speak first and spoken over. So as you speak, you will be amplified. So just start going. Be the first one. Take initiative.
Anyone who's taken this definition of anti-human, I'm just throwing that out there. The problem is the Judeo-Christian belief that we are stewards and that we have the right. Well, I'm not. I don't identify as Judeo-Christian, but that has been the ruling force that has gotten us to where we are today. We can humans have no problem going on and surviving, but the problem is the population. And the problem also is in the ownership and who can go and own land also, which then prohibits other people from being able to have a place to live. That's the problem. Okay, I'll gather my thoughts a little bit more.
All right, what's up there?
I think that I can own land. I think some of you could own land. We all have the ability to own land and to take care of it properly and do what we need to do with it and take care of the land as it should be. I think that we have the right to, because we are the dominant species here, and if we don't do it, it won't happen.
I want to build off of what you
That's all.
What I would say that basically the idea of rights is inherently human. there are no rights in other species, right? All it is
Yeah.
is dog world, essentially. So when you talk about, like I was saying previously, that
You good?
So, like I was saying previously, the idea of rights is inherently human, and amongst animal species, there's going to be extinction events because they'll just hunt them to extinction, or they'll overpopulate an area like we do, and eat all the food source, whether plants or animal. And we see this also in rainforests. Trees starve other plants. You see this in the universe. More planets gather around more gravitational pull. This is something that is inherent in nature. The idea of what is like right and ethical and rights is inherently human, which is why I think the question's I think the crux, and I think we've touched on this greatly, is this idea of rights of property and ownership of property. And that's why I think that it's a combination of, yes, we do have the right because inherently we created what rights are. All right?
No, the only thing that humans have time for is to sit and contemplate their existence, because beyond getting your basic needs met, you don't need anything. You need shelter, you need food, but all of these things that we do to go out and create plastics, or to go out and take over land, or to go to wage war with other countries, we don't need those things. And it keeps manifesting. And we keep telling ourselves
Your children need you to take over. Your children need you. And the people
I
around you
choose
need
not
you
to have children. I choose to be child-free.
Okay, other people can, as a person,
there are
our
so
children
many
need
children that
us.
need adopted. I don't have such a big ego. I'm not saying that. I'm not judging, but within myself, I don't see the need to populate.
And that is completely your right, but the point you
And
previously
why
made.
is it that the people who do need to populate end up being from the Judeo-Christian? Why?
Well,
what is this
Can
concept?
At the base level, we're asking why do people need to populate? It's because we want to continue the species, correct?
Not moderating.
I mean, like
We
you
are
need to.
beyond that. We are beyond needing to sustain. We have plenty of people to sustain.
No. But every person alive right now is going to be dead in the next 100 years, right? So if we don't repopulate, then the human race goes extinction in 100 years. So you need to repopulate. I mean, I don't think anyone would disagree with that. That's just biology, right? But moreover, your point is that we need shelter, we need food, correct? Is to have shelter, you need land, correct? You need to actually build a shelter on land. Also, you need food. You need to have land to graze animals, or you need to have land to grow food. So this is the idea of
Agriculture is where we went wrong. Agriculture is basically
Sorry, I think there's a complete categorization error here, because what Ray was talking about was the individuals need to have children or not. When you talk about repopulate, that's about the society, right? We do not need to repopulate. We are overpopulated, right? It's a complete categorization error, right? The drive to have
we need to slow our
children,
rate of repopulation.
the
We
drive
still
to
need
have
repopulate.
children is an internal thing. There's no need to repopulate because we aren't repopulated
Those
anyway.
boys still need to get some, isn't that right?
That's the point.
We need
Can
to
I
slow
bring
our
up
rate of
one quick
repopulation, but
point
we
as
still need to
well?
repopulate
I agree completely.
over a
I
certain amount of time.
absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. This idea of
But that's why he's
repopulation.
getting confused. Is by saying
Yeah,
that
exactly.
we don't need
It's a
repopulation.
fantasy driven by an internal drive to push our DNA down into the future. Right? Now, I'm a big hypocrite because I've got children, but I'm not a hypocrite because I'm not. But no, seriously, you've got to distinguish between the individual's drive and society. There is no need to repopulate. None at all. Because there's no lack of human population.
One thing
And if you see in the first world nations, we actually have to step back from that. If you look at the United States, for example, we actually have a slowing rate of repopulation.
A slowing rate of repopulation means
Exactly.
the population is growing, But hang on,
No.
the phrase repopulation.
If you look at the statistics, the citizens born naturally into the United States are less than those entering through immigration, which is fine.
But when you said a slowing
but when you bring in new humans into the world, first world nations actually
when you
are
said a slowing rate,
decline from that.
You've been asking for a fight for
clear.
ages.
When you say a slowing rate, that
there
means
was
it's
one other-
increasing, but less than it was before. It's still increasing, right?
Hey, David, buddy, are you still
Elmo.
not so sure about the whole anti-human position?
I think
Because
we're
hearing
getting a little bogged down in
hearing
statistics.
things like this, you know, kind of makes me start to lean that way a little bit towards the anti-human direction, where we can't even have a civil conversation, everyone.
Can I explain my plan? Which is
This seems
go
pretty
to Mars,
simple for the
blow up the
VR.
Earth, forget this ever happened.
Yeah.
So before we move on, because it's very necessary for us to move on, I just want to say two things real quick. Number one, the reason why I let that happen is because you got to understand the difference between heated debate and chaos. There's a difference. As long as there's good communication going on, that's good. The other thing is try not to get bogged down in like actual numbers. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about like grander things and the percentage of carbon emissions emitted by, this person per, capita, whatever. So just relax on that.
Debate is not a good form of debate. No side is ever going to actually objectively look at the other side's opinion and try and evaluate it in their own mind.
That's life, baby.
It's literally just spouting what you think of
Can I
another
just add
person.
one more thought?
There's no point in heated debate.
How we're socialized is not necessarily.
They could fit into Los Angeles. That's what people forget. If you put every human in the world side by side, they'd fit into Los Angeles. And you'd have the whole world.
Right to own property.
One thing,
there's a concept that exists in like Sweden and in Iceland and some other countries where you have the freedom to roam, which I find very interesting. So there's really no concept of trespassing as there is in the United States. I think maybe even in England this exists too. So basically, if you want to go take a hike in the woods in quote-unquote nature, you're free to like cross this person's yard if that will take you to the forest that you want to be in or trail or wherever. Which I just think is such a beautiful concept in law. It's a law. Like it's every man's land. Like this is
In England, I know there are some places which is private land, but generally speaking, especially in country land, farmers don't care if you cross like their fields as long as you're careful of their crops and stuff. But there are still people with private land who are just like very iffy about it.
Well, I know
I just
Ireland,
very
if I walk
quickly-
into private land and I hurt myself on that person's private land, there's a potential I could sue the owner of that land for not having
That's the
signage
idea,
up
like,
and all that shit. You can see why some
reason,
people
like-
would get protective of people on
The
their
reason
land.
people are like lax in countrysides in like England, like, well, I say countryside, in Cornwall, that's the experience I have, is because it's just a nice community and they understand each other.
Yeah. But it only takes one
think-
dickhead to start the pot. That's the only problem.
The right to roam originated before there were essentially roads, and the only in England in the medieval feudal system, the lords owned everything. So if you wanted to go see your cousin in the next lord's land, there weren't any public roads because everything was owned by a lord. And if you're a peasant, you owned nothing. They had the right to roam. So that, the scallywags should go for a walk, and you go for a walk in the bush, and you go see your family, or you go adventure to discover America, or and that's been eaten away. Yeah.
I just wanted to real quickly. Oh, I'm sorry. Who was talking?
Just said, and we have that. That actually does exist. Interstates, roads are owned by the government.
Do you know
Those are public roads that you can use to travel land freely. What we're asking here, though, and I think we're getting bogged down again, is the idea of do humans have the right to own property? And to that, I'd say, well, again, the idea of rights was created by humans. We need to basically have these rights to separate what is mine from what is yours, and say, you can't just come onto my property and say, if I did have a farm, just start taking my crops or taking some of my animals, because this is my private property. There are, though, you have to have, roads and passageways through the land that people can use publicly, and we do have that set up. And that's, so yeah, that's the main thing. I think, again, like you pointed out before, is this topic tends to lead people down. Like, we can get really bogged down. It touches on so many different topics, but I think the actual question, right, is the right to own property. And I think at that level, it's like, I mean, when you're trying to compare us to other species, other species could, give a rat's ass, excuse my language, about whether or not we exist on the land. They're just poising for dominance like any other species. And I think the idea of rights is just, like I said before, my very first point is that it's mainly between us, because we are, I mean, and point out many points here.
In the concept of deep ecology, believes that a river has the same rights as a human. Just as we give corporations the same rights as a human, this is the same thing.
Yeah. Quick one to ask. I saw it recently. I don't know what. Does anyone know what deep progress?
And I think it was maybe Dave said something about how a woman would eat children, and a bunch of them would die. And obviously, as we've progressed, we've improved medicine. And we've made so many more advancements in technology, but in order to do that, we've had to use lab animals. We've had to develop new technology, and that ultimately, in our rush to make progress, which ultimately is good, it's prevented so many deaths and everything like that. We've had to use our own resources. And I would argue, what would people say? What would your stance on that? Is that intrinsically? Does the end justify the means? In that rush for scientific progress, we've had to abuse
I don't know
the species and animals around us.
The resilience of the earth over larger time scales. Every animal kills everything. It's a war zone. The forest is not peaceful. It's one of the most violent places.
Yeah, do we have the right to do that in order for our own scientific progress? I think that's a very interesting question.
A little bit of harm for a lot of good. Is that the
a lion just eats a zebra. It doesn't care. It's just we're trying to make things better, but to do that, there's a temporary period we have to go through where things look a little bit worse, but eventually they start getting so much better. Would you go back 200 years and live in a city 200 years ago? None of us would. It was awful. Now it's significantly better, and it's going to get so much better. It's going to be phenomenal what can be done in the next 100 years. And we'll go to different planets, and once we can colonize Mars, we'll need 50 billion people to be able to go there. And then all the other planets.
Can I make I want to grab a point about the river, about a river having as many rights as a human. I have a question about, for a society, for a biological clan to exist riverside, and it turns into a human tribe living riverside, what do we claim is suppose they need a dock, and they need to build a dock in order to go into the river to fish, to maintain their nutrition. What happens with building that dock? Is there an ownership of that dock? Is the dock have as many rights as, when does architecture take over from biological rights, etc.?
Does a glass of water have rights?
Right, because if we take that river has rights in it, because I think I was agreeing with the gentleman on my right here about the rights means legislation. It's a human concept to the landscape. But for Ray, I'm very interested in many of your points, but your point about the river having as many rights as whatever is around it, in reality, what happens with maintaining the tribe's nutritional needs through that dock that's built on the river?
So you guys know
and have all these laws.
Egypt and Ethiopia?
Like assholes. It's to try and keep people in line and acting as decent people. If the human race could just work as one, we wouldn't need them.
Anyway, it's just about that time.
I'm just gonna throw this out real quick, just to be a bit of a troll, like you like to do sometimes, Ravens. Does the coronavirus have rights? It's a living organism. Okay. All right, I'm done. Hey.
It has power regardless of whether it has rights. Oh, yeah, okay. Answer that question in a minute. Let me just wrap up. So, we just got so much time left. We don't have enough time to answer another question, but we do have time to, keep it open. You can obviously stay after the event and continue talking about it. But I personally am going to leave, so I'm going to wrap up. Before I leave, I'd like to aid your attention to the sides of the room, the back of the room, where you can find our YouTube channel, which this recording and past recordings will be on. You can find our Spotify, which the podcast recording will be on. Plus, we also have iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Castbox, other millions of others. You can find our Discord, which if you go to that Discord and find that Discord, you'll be added to our server. And by adding to that server, you'll be able to ask questions, pose questions that we can ask in the event, see upcoming announcements, be alerted when the event goes live and all that. And on our Twitter, you'll be able to see announcements and upcoming events and all that jazz. And DM us. So, yeah, that about wraps it up. Adios.